My question for us on the other side of this camera is, after it burns, will we be left with charred, or will we rise like a phoenix out of the ashes that Atlanta has always done? Will we use this as a moment to say that we will not do what other cities have done, and in fact, we will get better than we've been? If you sit in your homes tonight, instead of burning your home to the ground, you will have time to properly plot, plan, strategize, and organize and mobilize in an effective way.
That was rapper and activist Killer Mike in the wake of the killing of George Floyd. For months, he has been encouraging others to take their anger and turn it into productive action. And now he is channeling his own advice and teaming up with former Atlanta mayor and civil rights icon Andrew Young to start a digital bank to serve Black and Latino communities who are underbanked. What does that mean? Well, listen to these numbers. About 17% of Black households do not have bank accounts. Compare that to just 3% of white households. And Black-owned small businesses are about half as likely to obtain bank loans as white-owned businesses. Well, this new plan, the Greenwood Bank Initiative, is hoping to change exactly that. I'm honored to say Killer Mike joins us now. Mike, when you told people to get active and be productive, I think most of us thought you were talking about social justice. Why start a bank?
Well, they go hand in hand. You can't have social justice without social equality. And in a capitalistic society, if those who capitalism was built on, the descendants of people who've been enslaved here and the people who are being used as cheap labor now, if those people don't get an active or a role in capitalism or the opportunity to participate, then what are we left with? A permanent underclass. So I believe that part of social justice is making sure that economic justice happens.
I want to go with a false narrative. People who might say, well, these Black households maybe just don't have the money for a bank account. That is not true. They're not underbanked because they don't have enough money for a bank account. In the United States, we don't offer financial literacy as part of our education system, and there's not equal access. Is that why you're doing this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was fortunate to be raised by people that were born in 1922 and 1932. My grandparents raised me. My grandmother's family had been a sharecropping family, had earned enough money to buy their own farm, buy their own land. So she came from a more financially secure background than my grandfather, whose dad left when he was in third grade, and he was left there to essentially leave school and work and take care of sisters. I learned that financial literacy was important. We were marched in a bank as early as 5, 6, and 8 years old. Me and my sisters started our first bank account. We're taught by grandmother to balance our checkbooks. I was the worst at it. My sister, who was the best at it, is an accountant at a corporation now. I have to hire her and people like her. But I learned very early to take care of your coin, and your coin will take care of you. I was fortunate enough to be in a household where that happens, but that can be taught to kindergartners, third graders, 6th, 7th graders, and on through high school. And I think that that should be a part of not just home economics once you get to high school. It should be a part of our fundamental education from the time of kindergarten forward.
Me too. I was rolling pennies on rainy days with my grandmother. I want you to speak.
Absolutely.
The Greenwood Initiative. Talk us through what happened in Greenwood, because it is a tragic stain on American history that not enough people understand.
Well, there have been many tragic stains on American history in relation to the group of people called Blacks in America. And this is one of them that I think is curable and fixable. About 100 years ago, there was a community called Greenwood in Tulsa. And due to racism, bigotry, hatred, and violence, it was destroyed. It was celebrated as a Black Wall Street because Blacks that had newly been freed had made their way, had made their way out west and was helping the country expand west. They created a system in which they had their own schools, their own churches, their own doctors and dentists. They had everything any other community has that can be successful. They turned the dollar 36 times in that community before that dollar left. So that dollar landed in my business to help enrich me and help me to employ people to enrich them. It then went to other businesses and did the same thing before it escaped our community. Now, on average, the black dollar only stays in our community six hours. And we don't have many of the fundamental businesses that we had during Jim Crowism, segregation, and things of that nature. So we don't have the ability as a community to gather capital to support one another in the same way. And the way that we can make up for this blight right now is individually getting financially responsible, financially literate, but as a community, organizing our dollars to be the tip of the spear so that we may now have a banking institution that allows for things like car loans, home loans, and will graduate to things like small and medium business loans to incentivize and give capital to businesses that are showing promise and that can grow. And I give Atlanta as an example. If we don't have a mayor like Kasim Reed, our last mayor before Keisha Bottoms, we never get to do a land deal that allows Tyler Perry to have one of the biggest studios in the world that has now not only kept black people working, but kept all Georgians working as the movie industry seems to be moving to Georgia and Atlanta. If we don't have Maynard Jackson 40 years ago, who says that blacks have to be 29 to 30% of business contracts with the city, we never get a Herman Russell Company. We never get the Columbia Group, which is headed by Noah Palillo, who ended up partnering with T.I. and I to keep a 50-year-old restaurant called Bankhead Seafood open, and which employs people and will be employed more. So these things are one hand washes the other, and I think they're necessary. And I think Greenwood is providing a pathway to that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.